and welcome to the Writing Room Poetry Showcase. My name is Deanna and I am one of your hosts for this showcase. But before I introduce you to the other two hosts, I wanted to give you a bit of an in as to what the Writing Room is. So the Writing Room is a program that was set up by Apples and Snakes, and it welcomes poets from, well, this year from all over the UK to share their work and to develop their craft and skill and sense of community around poetry, because that's the best thing about poetry, isn't it? Being able to learn and develop skill sets from other poets. So I led them through a 6-week course where we welcome 2 guest facilitators who are also my co-hosts. They will introduce themselves now.
Yes, I'm Kammerling. And I worked with this cohort on finding the right performances for our poems, on setting intentions for our performances, and exploring our physical connection to the written works.
Hello, I'm Rachel Long. I had the pleasure of working with the group on radically trusting the short poem and how we could write love and dreams and present them as fact.
Brilliant. And it was amazing. As Rachel mentioned, we were working along kind of the loose theme of radical trust, which was an idea that I had for my New Year's resolution. And I thought I'd just give it to the poets and say, come on, let's lean into this. Because I feel like this past year has been a time where we've had to radically trust ourselves and one another and the world at large. And so to kick off this showcase, I figure it's always hard being the first one to perform. So I will be the sacrificial chicken and perform a poem which was what inspired this thought of radical trust. I hope you enjoy. Sometimes we need someone to remind us to keep trying, to lift us up and shine the brightest light on matters which need addressing, to keep pushing, to keep striving, to believe in change, a figure of hope against a backdrop of hate. Sometimes we need to see that there are people on all levels, putting their necks on the line, on pitches, on courts, tracks and fields, pausing the game, halting the race, going the distance to recall lost names, fighting for rights fought for in the first place, because no one is safe if some are not safe. History is repeating and we cannot be defeated. And though we trust that fairness can win, we know that wins aren't for keeps. There is always the next tournament, the next trophy, the next division, titles to defend again and again. Sometimes we need someone. And on this day of injustice, that someone is us. Because this is bigger than sport. It affects us all. This is the marathon for freedom from systemic oppression. So before legs grow weary and morale loses its breath and struggles to find a new spring in the step, take a stand from the bench, form a joyful crowd, a driving force of raised voices in unison chanting what needs to be said out loud. Woo! Crowd's going wild. Just like how I performed it. So that actually, I realized that makes no sense to anyone, but that was originally performed in a studio, which was as silent as the room I find myself in and the room that we all find ourselves in during the showcase. So if you like the videos, please make sure that you put comments in the comment boxes below wherever you find this showcase, reach out, drop a message if something really resonates with you, because it means something to know that your words have reached out and connected to other people. So I think we should get to it, right co-hosts? So we're gonna watch these videos and they're gonna be in groups, and we'll see performances from Rachel and from Adam as well. And I think, who should be in our first batch? Who do you reckon?
I think Azan should be in the first batch.
Okay.
I'm going to choose Jamie.
Cool. I think after Jamie, we should have Shail.
Victor.
And after Victor, maybe Ella.
Brilliant. Enjoy.
How to pronounce radical. Curve the tip of your tongue upwards, revving your vocal engine. Push the edges of your lips away, opening wide to consume headlines. A satisfying shred of a skateboard, surfboard, snowboard, object which mostly white men stand on top of. Forget whiteboards are meant to be written on. Bill and Ted's catchphrase, rad. Nickname for Richard? Because that makes more sense than stretching your jaw to house the second vowel already written in my name. Male phallus. Border Force officer. Hands firmly clasped on his vest, knuckles saying something with their chest. Dick. Definite article in Arabic language, knighting an adjective into a noun. Short for Alistair. 'Cause all they do is stare once they clock skin tone, backpack and facial hair. Remove a crown of your own jewels. Replace it with knuckles that dig into your temple. Ow. Radical. 3 syllables that make brothers shudder under sunlight. Radical.
How to hold a baby. Give birth to them. First breath like the first ever crashing of atoms. People are talking about the end, but the baby is crying. Flatten out your hands like a seedbed. Let their weight fall warm and heavy on you. Then smell the head, the insides of mother, of oven, of earth. Lay your heart in the palm of the baby. Let them renew its beat, shake it like a rattle. And look how they move, their limbs like tiny fireworks. Notice how needed you are, how the new blue glaze of their eye opens a portal. Step into the portal. Refuse what they say about the world ending, because how can the end of the world smell this good? The baby has cracked open the earth, found joy there, pressed into the ground like a fossil. Pick up the fossil and wave it out your window. Watch everyone tilt their faces to it.
We celebrate them. We celebrate them not just because they are black individuals, but because they are Great Britons. We celebrate them. We truly celebrate them because everyone benefits from recognising the important contributions they make in laying pathways for others that look like them and follow in their footsteps.
I want you to fix your tongue into the shape of a librarian cussing at a child, free some plantain chips at her desk so she doesn't have to take a rest from revision and travel home where an A star is miles away from an A for the immigrant's daughter who is only ever going to be a doctor, a lawyer or a disappointment, which her mother can't lord over her relatives in the family WhatsApp.
I look at young black and Asian kids in the third generation who've been born here and brought up here, so they're not from anywhere else. And, you know, I just think creatively, culturally, they're just on top of the world.
Air, no, not an E, but an air, the same type of air or hair. Nigerians speak while casting spells with their eyebrows, as they agree or misunderstand and whip forward their box braids or loosely patterned small, bat-coloured wigs and expose the gaps in their pidgin as they scream on the tube, bus or train in a cadence that they think make their voices into a whisper.
Whoever goes on, if he finds that he's suitable, that he will demonstrate by his own ability, and he'll get on very well with the bus crews, and all should be quite all right.
Ooh, it's not about you, it's about me and a swathe of society, the colonised bopping in the coloniser's lair, creating a new identity, a black British identity. Jamaican, Nigerian, Guyanese, Ghanaian, will up the blood clot, I beg if I speak I'm in big trouble because at once we are celestial and above the planets of Oyibos and Obronis, but yet we are still grounded, still brothers in the same Babylon, making it crucial for you to have double consciousness. To see us in our quadrille, Iro and Buba, our drill, grime and garage, our James, Howe and Dadsy, our Moody, Marson, Egbuna and LeQuant, our London, Manchester, Birmingham, our Britishness, our humanity is what I need you to see when you say it.
Lord Kitchener, now I'm told that you are really the king of calypso singers, is that right?
Yes, that's
well, now, will you sing for us?
Right now.
Yes.
London is the place for me. London, this lovely city. You can go to France or America, India, Asia or Australia, but you must come back to London City. Well,
N. No, you can't get away from it. You'll have to try and pronounce it, because we are here. We are here because you were once there, and so I ask you to pronounce my identity with your life-giving tongue, to speak my name, Sheung. Because once we can give thanks to God together, we can sow the soul of a new nation into this one. But you need to try first. You need to try and say it. Don't avoid it, and don't choke on the S.
After all that, the polls are saying those red bricks are still going to vote blue at the next election. Boy, and what? I hear Range Rovers are giving up junk fuel. I mean, it'll cost them a door and a wheel, but at least the trees will breathe a sigh of relief, right? Meanwhile, a suicidal building jumped off a queen. Nearly. It was supposed to extend a helping hand, but it's inanimate, statutory, an heirloom of a monument worth protecting at all costs, but the Wealth's Foundation is clearly giving in. I don't believe what she says. You can't believe what she says. The streets don't believe the signs. Imagine how the signs feel. Did they offend another highway again? Maybe. The streets are too busy focused on self-preservation and destination to examine the changing scene around them. Buildings clearly keep disappearing and reappearing, but reappearing with less of themselves, or disappearing until they are found as the remains of another road's rage, either in grief and anger or for amusement and pleasure. The ground assaults buildings when they're not looking far too often. And those tremors are 97% effective, they say. And that's according to those buildings that are willing to say something. The Everard was next. They found the rubble another city away. Helicopters. Helicopters who protect building from cranes and wrecking balls. They were the cranes and wrecking balls. This time. Meanwhile, the streets keep saying it's the building. Her blinds were too short. She was cladded in her own shame. Her insides were burnt up. Her sprinklers were broken. It's nothing to do with us. It's San Andreas' fault. It's not street violence against anything. It's just building concerns, that's all. Hundreds of lights rung bright that vigil night. The skyline was a cry of defiance, united. Then the city, it was chopped up. There were sirens. Buildings were pulled to the ground and handcuffed. And the black buildings, watching from a distance, had to laugh. A bitter laugh. Otherwise they would have cried. For the helicopters never found justice in the rubble that looked like them.
When I see you again, you are waiting behind my back gate. My eyes nibble your lower lip. Check no one is looking. I unlock you and it's warm again. It has been months of frost. And we are criminals. Your hair is long now. Curls unravel in both palms. They tell us touch is death, but yours simply reaches into my body, juggles my heart, lungs, thyroid around. We should be quiet. I walk you through my garden, see caped kids blow bubbles on tenement balconies. I hear Janet from next door hanging towels before countdown starts. Smell the Peruvian neighbour smoking weed, all sliced into private squares. They could make convicts out of us. But when your fingers touch the back of my neck, it is brushstrokes filling grey. There is a bed away from here. We can commit our crime. I want to make your body print onto mine. I want to remember when it is snatched back. You tell me you bought M&S mini rolls. You said you liked these, right? So this is what it is then. These aren't any mini rolls I've smuggled through my back gate. When I open the lid, my bare heart is in there, innocent as a baby bird. You know you shouldn't, but you eat it whole.
Amazing first group of poets. Wonderful to see. Who have we got next, Dee?
So for this next pinch, we are starting off with Ankita.
Lara.
Then Tom.
Abena.
Mikey.
I am in a loveless marriage. He is making paneer tikka masala. I'm in the school parking lot talking like my mother. He has taken me to an American diner in London and we're drinking from jars. I can't breathe. He is singing something by Bruno Mars. I'm hiding in a toilet. There are brown stains on the roof. The doctor has pushed me on a bed the size of a bread loaf. He is asking me, and Mum is asking me, what is the problem? We could be anywhere in the world. Hawaii, Canada, Lebanon. He has lost all the hair on his head, fighting with my mother. I am in a locked room. He is asking me, what is the matter? What is the matter? Dad is asking me. I have locked myself in a room. He is fighting with my mother. He has lost the hair on his head. We could go anywhere in the world. Hawaii, Canada, Lebanon. What is the problem? Mum is asking me. I am the size of a bread loaf. The nurse has pushed me on a bed. There are brown stains on the roof of the toilet I am hiding in. I can't breathe. He is singing something by Bruno Mars. We are drinking from jars like Americans in London. I am in the school parking lot. I have lost my mother to a loveless marriage, making paneer tikka masala.
The air is laced with watching eyes here, braced for budding heads of green. Choose light, emancipate, or stay, and be separatist, be unpaired, be a free radical. Be warned, you're now pegged as highly reactive, 1 electron short of a full set. Too much to say for yourself, emotional, irrational. What have you got to say for yourself? Missing something, in much trouble. But this community is a binding, brilliantly blinding one. We free radicals reside in hives, cross-pollinating in cahoots, that life of a winged diplomat, humming in between veined petals. But we bees are armed with a sting, kamikaze bees plummeting, free radicals, firing glass cannons, atoms shattering, shards hardened from the inside out. And we can feel you watching us. If a recipe is a thing that binds, pancakes are made of free radicals, right? So from Hajja to Ummi and Ummi to me, this is our Baghdadi recipe. Radicals in the pan, we just let them be, as 1,000 holes are made from those who breathe easy. I trust in 1,000 holes. I trust in notre. I trust in butter and honey too.
We both know surrender like the heartbeat of our mothers. This time, old foe, we are drowning, dreaming of some long-gone landlocked lethargy. Rubber to lifeline, whiskey, windscreen wipers, amnesia. It is just so good to see you. Again. Brown-eyed overdose, hangman's noose, half-cocked hooligan. 3 sheets to the windiest night since way back when, a ship wrecked in a broken bottle, blowing cannonballs through sandcastles just to see the air pop. Isn't it ironic? Weary-eyed pirate, floating mockery. Octopus ink spilling both of our secrets. I see you. Perhaps now for the first time I'll wonder what the moon dreams of. Old foe, we reign like gods, and England in summer. Cast iron promises drenched in rust like the ship your crew mutinied when battening down the hatches was a skipping stone too heavy. You empty chair soaked in front of me. You catastrophe, you gall, you love letter, you bloodline on my forearm, you long night, you burnt brain, you black eye, you wet face, you walk home, you cracked heart, you hoodlum. The distance between us now reduced pathetically to metaphor. Your shark eyes widen, your face afflicted with a grin. You tell me, old foe, every clown wants to die.
I climb out from a stack of hay, shoved through thousands of bodies gaping at the glowing Son of God. I firm my shaking feet. I approach him. You are meant to forsake me, he begins. When the cock crows, Lord, I would never, I say. I am here now. I climb up a pillar
till I perch on the wooden beam that holds up the roof. We are on the same level now. I open a map which pixels into moving hologram. My great, great, great grandmother's sister sits slumped on the port of Jamaica, lips cracking. Where were you? I ask the Son of God. The Lord's eyes display a burning. My great, 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 great aunt looks at the Son of God, whilst her master reddens her back. She pulls her ahrinya off her waist, hands it to me through the hologram for safekeeping. Her master reads her a story. In this story, angels sing, holy, holy, holy is the Negro who picks candy for her master to eat. Holy, holy, holy is the skin that is whipped till it pulses with cream. Lord, how do I get to heaven? The Lord looks at me, peels off his halo and falls. He beckons me now into the light, now swelling into the barn. My auntie wails a deep, hollow song. I look at the Son of God. He lowers his gaze, throws me the halo, and leaves.
No mother wants her son to go under the knife. Setting myself up for failure, I was. Whole life ahead of me, and this is what I pick. God, we had some screaming matches, didn't we? Thought you crashed the car at some points. Never did like how you drive. Not as bad as Dad, though. Of course. Of course. Really thought we'd die on our way back from Grandma's that one time. No idea if he still has a license. You do all the shopping and the up and down the country for us. I know when I say thank you, it's nearly not enough. Luck, the privilege, it chokes me up sometimes. I always say your parents might surprise you. Best not to set the bar too high, but the fact is I was homesick. Now I'm eating crisps, making conversation. I'd like to hear your musings on the current situation. I think we got too scared of our opinions after all those drawn-out afternoons spent fucked up in the head. The hospital's an hour away, and 2 weeks in my bed. Maybe now's the time to salve those words still left unsaid.
That was amazing. Deanna, who do we have next?
Up next is Sophie.
Omar.
Sid.
Aisling.
And this group will close with a guest performance from Adam Kammerling.
I can't imagine anything different. Each night remind myself, safety pin that sign to my chest, wanting demolition. Paradise is just through double locked doors. Beware, this dog will follow you with an appetite like your trailing pygmy. To the man who calls you steak baby, a warning. Red dress means take me home. Press bus fare pennies into palms like call me when you're alone. Already the weary hag, so don't let inexperience get you to wear caution like a cloak. You will learn to taste fear and swallow in sugar glass freedom. It's safe. I'm not going to lie to you and say there's no fragile utopia. I'm not going to lie to you and say in sugar glass freedom it's safe to taste fear and swallow. You will learn to wear caution like a cloak. Don't let inexperience get you alone. Already the weary hag, so call me when you get home. Press bus fare pennies into palms like a warning. Red dress means take me to the man who calls you steak. Baby with an appetite like your trailing pig meat. Beware, this dog will follow you through double locked doors, wanting demolition. Paradise is just safety. Pin that sign to my chest. Each night, remind myself, I can't imagine anything different.
A poem for Gary. Before I had my boys, I had Gary. Gary, who cooked me salmon and sat me on the piano stool, who cuddled me and pecked me behind the ear. Gary taught me what a blue tip was, and pointed, and it was beautiful. Not an innuendo in sight. I can feel his fingers now, reaching for the ticklish spots. I'm laughing while he's still in mid-air.
Fill a page with first and last at the kitchen table for practice. Whisper unfamiliar into a freshly ironed shirt. Repeat. Post a shopping list to the passport office. Request suggestions. Refuse the old one, unless it grows legs, walks out of your mother's mouth before she can close the door. Make a replica dyke bar. Shrink down to miniature. Task yourself with explaining to tiny women made of matchsticks, wearing denim and leather, why there are no dyke bars in the future. Thank God you're no longer in the in-between. While you're at it, update him, lest you become unreachable, a line disconnected in heaven's phone book, lest your blessings fall upon an empty house. Pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, is Butch, recognises me in public, doesn't squint when I come home with a buzz cut. Hallowed be thy hands and all that they do. Hallowed be thy boots, white tee, thy ring of keys, pray. In front of a mirror. Call yourself alien. Call yourself homecoming. Call yourself nothing but your name. I think that one worked.
We are an inside joke, eyes passing back and forth, 1, 2, 0 words needed. We know exactly what they're actually asking. Feel it in our body, rippling through a stadium, a Mexican wave of cynical joy. We are a mouth, moulding itself into positions unnatural, not uncommon. You forced your way onto our lands, then down our throat. We reclaim your words, make something anew, but not for those who do not speak our language. It is not our job to explain to you the offside rule. We are the creeping panic attack, the twist of organs, the salivating mouth, the heart, a bird with a 5-meter wingspan in a 5mm squared cage, flapping to the rhythm of each other's while walking past the gleaming heads of England. Flags of red and white, men who hate men, kissing men, screaming their devotion to men who play with balls for a living. We are the intake of breath that lasts a year. Each of us reluctant thieves stealing molecules of air to feed our embers, not our lungs, anticipating the penalty as we bite down on our tongues, knowing it will backfire should we speak. But now, the blisters, studs of past silence, rip open, filling our mouth with iron shame of our self-preservation. Always saving, never shooting, we're not trying to even the score. But today, we will not give you an own goal.
Okay, this is a poem from my collection Seda. It's called Except My Brothers Used to Watch Me. Except my brothers used to watch me, drawing panels from comics. We knelt, 3 of us hushed, watching my pencil, pressing the swell of biceps, punching or soldering intense pain. I imagined that if I experienced superhuman hurt, I would grit my teeth and flex my fingers, that pain would arch me like a masseuse, evoking an unpronounceable sound, all G's and R's and K's, that I might have to be restrained. So I am surprised when 30 years later, I cannot erase a mistake, and rather than bulge like an onion, I drop to my knees and quietly do not process, not crying or shouting, but watching my useless hands, which followed the lines of superhumans, copying what burst from the panel as my brothers watched, the picture coming on slow, emerging over the rubbed out rails, the light dimming until I can't. Thanks.
What a group of poets we have for this year's writing room. And there's more to come. Who's next?
We have Miles.
Prerna.
Noah.
Jonah.
Maddie.
Oh, floor 1. You bring grapes when you visit the hospital, unless you turn up late. Then you are bringing raisins. Like if you turn up really late, actually. Floor 2. Okay. Why are grapes the popular hospital fruit? Anyway, you know, there's so many fruits. I've never just seen a big old melon sitting at the end of someone's bed. Although if I did see that, and I can't really explain why, I think that would look sarcastic. Floor 3. I got speaking to a guy in the downstairs cafe, and he tried to sort of reassure me by saying that God works in mysterious ways, which is nice. But every time I hear that phrase, it just sounds like God's trying to get out of paying his taxes. Floor 4, God works in mysterious ways. I also didn't know if maybe I should have offered up other things that work in mysterious ways, like lava lamps, Scooby-Doo, obviously. Floor 5, but instead I just nodded and went straight to the elevator. Floor 6. Brain scans, they're pretty amazing. You don't really realise how amazing the brain even is until you see a brain scan, and then you do have a moment where you're like, well, hang on, who's making me think that? It's your brain. Arrogant. Floor 7. What am I going to say? Floor 8. First thing I ever said was dad. Floor 9. But I do often wonder what was the first thing I ever said, you know, with intention. Floor 10, the first thing I ever said that made a difference, that showed what I was made of, what I stood for. Floor 11. Or maybe it was always floor 12. Dad.
Multiple choice on becoming the new Marghazi Sari model, after Safia Elilo. A suitable drape is the first time I saw Nani drape a sari on another body, the material shrouding each sorrow, or Mama for her brother's wedding, the pregnancy scars silvering through the gauze, or dark gold with a red seam, the pleats fountaining like cut jugular, or lining my gums with saffron, so it stains the truth liquiding under my tongue, leave the widow's hips to blush colorless, or we don't talk about how ruby shines our raw necks. Mama's spine gracefully bowed with the weight of a country's men. It's modest, Nani says, to hide how a body flays in some kinds of light. At least they see less wound. A pleasing skin tone is the first time I wore a sari, I was 15. My father singing to a tabla as Uncle Ramesh said he'd cut me up if I looked at him wrong. Or red, gold, purple, all those mudgull colors. Each darkness is a kind of bruising. The jamuns mashed in the hammer of a palm. Or the darker goats are led to the woods first, before their darker bleating colors the air, so not pink. My skin isn't talcumed soft for that shade. The best camera angles for your body type are you're being clever, asking me if I'm North or South Indian. 4 languages carve my waist duck. You can never tell. It doesn't matter. Yesterday I bled through my bandages and giggled about it. Or you are asking me what breaks a body in another country. Or I left 4 years ago. You can tell by counting the rings in my back. Or I am always living in windows, and I cannot tell if it's for the view or the fall.
My name is Noah Jacob. This is a poem about faith and mental illness. It's called Last Summer. Last summer, the devil sat on my chest and crushed me. I told him I haven't prayed in weeks. I've been trying to breathe for days. I couldn't breathe for days. He told me, don't pick up something you can't put down. That's on my right hand is always empty. An Arab woman is an angry woman, is a metal woman. I didn't know I wasn't a robot until I saw blood. Until I woke up howling like a dog. I didn't know I wasn't a robot until I realized how much it hurts for flesh to rust, to rot. A dead woman propped up on pain. My body dripped with gasoline. August turned green from red and it didn't stop burning. They called it a blessed fire, a cleansing fire, burning like metal baptized in salt water, eating at my machine. God held my chest and told me to rise. I took a shovel and buried my dying faith in the places where you bleed into me. I don't pray until you call my name. Every time you say my name. Thank you.
I used to serve my co-workers drink after drink on their days off. Some held the job largely for the discount, fistfuls of silver making up the extra pound, smiling in satisfaction at their bonus pint. Those on shift would grumble and make stilted small talk, wishing that they were on the other side of the bar, spending their hard-earned wages in cold gulps, refilling the same glass again and again like an IV drip. Stagger home. 2 ibuprofen. Fitful sleep. We were institutionalized by sheer fatigue. Every punch in, punch out, 40 on the clock was the best of us, surrendered to unsmiling regulars, Chardonnay weeknights, 14 shots of sours at 3:45 p.m, and little left but the slump of a bar stool on which to sit out our brief freedoms, dancing hours over our knuckles like copper coins, waiting for them to drop.
The woman in the film cleans the man's wounds with muslin and soapy water, fucks him, then dies. It was so long ago. Realistically, he would have died of sepsis before he came. Still, semen issues a surviving son. Crawls out fit dead mum a half hour later. Active protagonist. Dragged up by an ugly aunt in a cul-de-sac. This son, curly-haired maverick, dreams it different. Runs to a monastery to spend a lifetime thinking and not thinking. Somewhere in the Alps, a funded sabbatical, shepherd's hut with heated floors. One winter, musing reincarnation after dusk, he falls into a crevasse. "This is the end," he would have said, had the film continued past his soapy conception. Yet a woman appears, strong jawline, an abundance of muslin, fashions a clown scarf from the stuff. Son grabs onto the dangling end, thinking and not thinking, improbable heaves to a thud. Woman finds the thermostat in his hut, brews some magic tea. Dab dab with that soap water, dab dab sexy bitch. Years later, he isn't sure if he imagined or married her. Did he get the muslin fuck? From a bungalow near Bournemouth he sits, thinking and not thinking. His nurse cuts his toenails and sings in some comforting language. There's no muslin anymore, he thinks. Is my father ashamed? This town is overpopulated with crows.
What an incredible collection of poems and poets. Who do we have next?
Now, Maddie.
Miller.
Bunmi.
And a guest set from Rachel Long.
I speak on icy lakes, test out each step, each syllable before committing. I hesitate for a living. My ears bleed, shards of the past. I tried my best to drown, but the ice held my heart and my feet fast. I am tugged to the future, the baby food I will stir one day, worrying if this should be organic, backstepping for half a second. I can no longer allow myself that. The ice is thick here, and my child will trust me. They will have to. Without me, they would not survive, and without them, neither would I. They make me want to talk in rainbows, sound out prisms of light, the only thing here I test. One day I will be tired. My ears will melt to baby babble, someone else's tears, my God, at last someone else's tears that say, Mummy, I'm alive. My darling, so am I, and I am someone I haven't met yet. Me, but another, me, but a mother. I would readily become her, but I can't. For now, I must continue on this rink, soft-stepping my way to you. We should get some rest. We should give birth to our dreams, for even before you're here to see, they are synchronized. They must be. Watch me fall asleep. I take an ice pick to my chest and peek inside, chip away a piece of ice, and let it refract every shade of a rainbow in a toddler's stickered window. Tomorrow, I shall thaw this quaking heart. Tomorrow, I shall move to you. And tomorrow, I shall learn to speak in colour.
I struggle to picture myself as a child. Can't conjure up the image of my chubby toddler cheeks or yet fully formed spine. But yesterday, I remembered the taste of dib-dabs, how the sherbet dissolved on my tongue under the weight of the lollipop stick. And there's nothing of sweets in photo albums, or my diaries penned with infant joy, yet my body remembered it instantaneously, and I had hope. My tongue gave into the sour taste, my eyes began to water, hands clasped the packet with joy that, finally, the child in me wasn't a question mark, but a memory.
You reach for your name like a coin, tumbling out of your pocket, tracing its fall in the direction of nostalgia. You catch its glimmer at the bottom of a drain. You remember its shape, how breadth and depth formed a basin of Yoruba sound, Oluwa, Fumilayo. God has given me joy, a praise, a melody, an ebbing memory. You reach for your name like a point of reference, like the last thing you remember before it was cut up in the mouths of those who did not name you, of teachers and children who could not stand the weight of Yoruba tongue, who tried to shove your name into something from the English dictionary. You reach back to its first utterance over your life. 8 days after your birth. You pull up the prophecy that proves itself every time you defy the day with your smile. It has not been lost. It is as real as the first day they named you.
I'm going to read this poem as my workshop was on dreams and love. This poem is not based on a dream, but it does happen in bed, in love. Thanksgiving. As if by accident, I find my head washed up, window side of his bed. After all that loving, look, the sky's still pinned up. His nose is longer with his eyes shut. This whole time I've been holding, squeezing, wringing, folding, bending, nodding. Thank you, God, for giving me someone who makes me hold my breath. I will be so light upon his life, he won't realize he's kept me. I'll leave not a mark on his pillow, papers, knife, DVDs, or wine glass. What blessing. Only when he is sleeping can I breathe out. so deep my ribs come up like a ship.
And there we have it, 2021's Writing Room cohort. I hope you have had a wonderful watching experience from your homes. Click like, share these videos, let these poets know how their words have resonated with you. Thank you so much to the co-hosts and co-facilitators on this year's cohort, Rachel Long and Adam Kammerling, and to Apples and Snakes. My name is Deanna Rodger, and I hope you're all right.